Bada boom, bada bing. Yes, this is Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives with your host, the real Theo Harvey, and me, Mr. Benja, coming with all the relevant info to get your week started. This week, we will be covering 5 awesome stories. Number 1, we're going to have Netflix getting the side eye over a Black Cleopatra and some other stuff. Buzzfeed is getting shut down. Well, their news division is getting shut down, but they're kind of on the edge, so we got to talk to them and see what's going on. And also, we have Google calling for a radical change to search. Now, when Google steps in, the kings of search, they make a radical change. Your wide reverberations, we got to see what's going to happen with that one. Also, we have AI Drake and AI Weekend making the top of the chart. Not the real ones, the AI ones. Interesting little story there we'll talk about. And the Elon Watch. We got to keep an eye on this guy because he's Elon. If you don't know why you should keep an eye on him, you haven't been paying attention. He's got some stuff, and the spaceship just blew up. So lots of news there. You like the sound of that, Theo? Spaceship's blowing up?
Oh, man. Not in particularly, but it's very interesting to see all this happening, man. What is going on, man? You know, I just saw a year ago, we both went to Coachella, and this is the second weekend, I think it was, of Coachella. And you know, I thought about maybe half a second going back, but when I saw the artists, I think it was like Blackpink and Frank Ocean who didn't show up. I think The Weeknd made it pop in. I was like, I'm good. So
yeah, you know, I was listening to some people talk about it. They said they made it kind of a different vibe. So I don't know what this new vibe is because I didn't really hit the old Coachella. But yeah, they're saying they're really trying to change it. They're not sure what it's about, kind of, but it's still a big fun place to go. And it's a very odd thing. It's just Coachella in these like little 2 weeks. The rest of the year, they're completely silent. It's not like you have, you know, documentaries on Netflix or whatever about Coachella. They're not branding themselves all around. It's just these weird 2 weeks. So the fact that they're changing, doing what they're doing, it's really interesting. So, but we will have to go back, right?
yeah, definitely, man. I was impressed in the daytime. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like a, you know, artsy fartsy type festival. You know, a lot of cool little sights to see. But at night, boy, that was a whole different animal, man. Literally, the freaks came out at night, man. I saw things. People were in touch with themselves, with
And each other.
and achieving higher consciousness. May or may not be with drugs. So it was definitely, the night was definitely a little bit interesting. And the music, I thought, you know, some of the artists we saw was very fascinating. You know, Run the Jewels, that was do you remember the DJ you went to go see? Who was that we went over there to go pop over?
Tiki Monster?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Thanks for, you know, showing me that.
Yeah.
And I love the vibe of, I think Sunday, that was really my best time. We had time to just walk around because we went to the American Express Lounge, remember, just kind of chilled in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we saw the little smaller artists, you know, they were kind of doing their thing. And so I was like, man, okay, this is the vibe I'm with. Everything else, I don't know, those bigger Megan Thee Stallion, Harry Style type audiences, I don't know, man.
I did like the Danny Elfman.
That's right.
That I was like, okay, that dude really is that weird. with or without drugs, he's that weird.
yeah, man. But it was just, you know, first time going, and I think I got those tickets like, you know, right in early 2021. And I said, hey, let me just get it because I knew the world was starting to open up. And so I think that was one of the big festivals that kind of popped up now that pandemic was starting to ease out in 2022. So it looks like everybody was like there, you know, excited to be there. And so it was definitely an interesting time. I would definitely go back. I may even, like I said, I was telling my wife I'll definitely go back. So I went to 2 big festivals that year. I went to that one and Essence Fest. And
we know Essence Fest.
Yeah, so I think Essence Fest definitely kind of, you know, my vibe. But, you know, Coachella had its moments, so I would just say that.
Yeah, you come to Essence Fest dressed like you came from Coachella, you might get a different reaction from the people there.
Absolutely. But
Excuse me, sir, are you okay? Seriously, I want to talk to you. Are you okay?
Why are you here, sir? Excuse me.
Officer, he might not be okay.
Oh, speaking of which, man, didn't have this in our notes, but did you see there's a Freaknik documentary out now?
Oh, yes. The documentary. Wait, who's putting that on? Is that?
I don't know. I need to do more research on that. I just heard, you know, rumblings about it. But those that don't know, in the 90s, there was this place that all college students heard about. that you wanted to go, and it was in Atlanta around springtime, called Freaknik, and it's basically a bunch of young folks in the streets, basically wilding out. Go look up. This is almost before our time, really, right, Mr. Benja? And then we were college age, and we could have went. I never went. I didn't get a chance to go. And then when I actually happened to be in Atlanta during the time, that's when they finally shut it down.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I miss Freaknik.
Well, what was it? There was like a string of them, right? Because it wasn't just Freaknik. It was Freaknik, Black Beach Weekend, and then there were a bunch of other little things that would happen up and down the coast from Orlando, Jacksonville, Atlanta, all in the region, Southeast. And yeah, the summer activities just got pretty crazy and intense. And I remember it was like, as young as I was, it was kind of like, if you really want to make the Freaknik thing happen, you got to get somebody to vouch for you. You got to get a hotel and everything. I'm like, man, but not having access to all, the cars, the credit cards and everything to be able to get your own hotel room. Kind of like you had to navigate carefully. You don't want to get caught up in any nonsense, but you still wanted to get caught up in some nonsense.
Yeah, man. I kind of wish I did more in college like that. Because I remember some guys in freshman year, they went and, we got to go to Freaknik. It was like what they did. And I heard stories, man. I mean, if you're a young guy, you're looking for some interesting things to get into, you will find it at Freaknik. Yeah, so not just music. I'm talking about, everything. So like, you like them girls doing that. I mean, back then, they weren't really twerking. They were doing other things. But it was pretty much pre-twerking.
Do you know the cop? There's a cop from a meme where he's sitting. There's this lady in a position.
Yes.
On a police car, and the policeman's over there just like, ham in hands and just cheesing. Do you know they actually caught it with that dude like 11 years later and suspended him?
Oh, man. They found him.
11 years later. I was like, oh, man. And now that this documentary is coming out, people are just
scared.
Yeah.
These folks are, and I know some of these folks, man. I mean, I know folks who are doctors, lawyers now, big time heads of programs. It's like, they're like, and guess what? We have AI technology that do facial recognition.
Hey, you know what's crazy on the low? If you upload all your pictures to Facebook, and you can put in a private album if you want, but upload all your pictures to Facebook, it'll go through and find all your friends for you or the people you know. It's like, hey, is this Darnell? We think it's Darnell. It'll be some dude in the background in the window of a restaurant, and you're like, yo, that is Darnell. How'd he get there? It's pretty amazing.
Yes, man. This AI stuff, man, it's gonna find all of us somewhere, man. Yeah. So, anywho, man. Yeah. So that's what's going on with me, man. Paying attention to the news and music festivals and stuff like that. So, man, do you want to just get into this today, man?
Really quickly, I just wanted to ask you, how's your content doing? You've been banging out the content. We were talking about it a little bit off air, but how's it going?
Yeah, man. Good, man. Slowly but surely growing the audiences across all platforms. A couple 100 followers across all the platforms now. So I'm trying to get into thousands, that 5-figure digits, man. So that's the goal. I'm looking to maybe hire on another additional help in the social media space to kind of help continue to grow. Just released a ChatGPT long form video. And so we'll see how that does. But yeah, man.
What's long form for you?
Well, 8 minutes. 8 minutes, man, But, and I sent you I think I sent you some training or some updates from Alex Hormozi. So yeah, from your understanding, did he kind of revolutionize his short form content? I mean, is that why everyone is kind of following his lead in this short form stuff? Was he the one that kind of put that on the map?
I think Gary Vee did it, but Gary Vee's got lost in the sauce so much because he's got so much other stuff going on. Hormozi's pretty much focused on, I'm doing the short form content with this, and this right now, and I'm not selling you anything. His little brand is so much more focused. You can easily pick it out.
Gotcha.
Gary Vee's still the granddaddy of all this. And I don't know if he makes more sense to you now that you're doing it, but
Man, he does, man. I mean, it's like you follow all these guys and they just falling out of Gary Vee's playbook. Matter of fact, it's getting to the point where the people don't even care about hashtags anymore. They don't care about when you post. They just say post, sometimes 6 times in a row, the same video. So it's just amazing how, and then I hear everybody quote Gary Vee's book. What's it called? Jab, 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 right hook. And it's like, dude, this stuff, it was, and so he just sitting back like, yeah, I told y'all. And so it's amazing how this is all kind of, even the OG Ty Lopez, people give him credit, right? For some of the stuff he did, right? With the whole YouTube ads and the book thing. So, I mean, and selling the course, right? So it's kind of like amazing to me. It's like, so that's my question to you, Mr. Benja. So on my side, I'm enjoying exploring this and learning more about this space. But, as we're talking about, this is like old news. What's the new thing that people are trying to look into, right, in this space?
I don't even know if I want to drop it here in public just yet.
I knew you did.
In public just yet. But yeah, I got some heat. It's a little too early to drop it in public. Any of this stuff I'll play with for like a little bit, see who's doing the rounds and everything. And I'll tell you offline, but yeah, some good stuff is coming.
Guys, we got some offline knowledge. You had to sign up for some behind the scenes content, man. What's it? This is Nikki. You ever see her Instagram? She's behind. What's it? Behind the brand.
ET.
Yeah, ET. Yeah, she has a subscription to her IG, and I guess that's some behind the scenes, content. So,
if you ever jump in one of her, well, I don't know if she's doing it now that she's got the subscription, but her lives were.
Oh yeah, she still does them.
Her lives were fire. Justin P, his lives were fire. He's like the business side, I guess, of Support Black College.
Okay.
He talks about how he got them on the map, and he's like, he basically ran the bait playbook, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too exciting there, but he's good at
the
it.
Playbook, you mean the Gary Vee playbook or just?
No, he ran the Bathing Ape.
Oh, okay.
He took what Bathing Ape did for streetwear and street culture and said, you know what, we could flip this to the internet era and do it this way. So he got on certain people's backs, or got certain people to wear his stuff, ended up getting in 2K Sports with the Support Black College thing. And that's what Bathing Ape was doing, but with streetwear. So he was doing it kind of in a different way for the internet era. So he's out there with some good ideas about stuff. As I said, early Derek Grace is the best, but you can't find that anymore. What he's doing now is just weird and interesting, and he's playing around. So I still got stuff to learn from him, but he's in some other weird path that I don't recommend. But
yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing with these influencers are doing, just following Ryan Pineda, right, and his crew. Lives are starting to take off. I see more and more lives now, and just trying to engage folks, and then these challenges that's been around since Russell Brunson, but people are trying to do more of that because it sounds like if you have something to sell, if you can just get people more engaged, longer period. Yes, they look in the short form to kind of get excited, but if they really want to know you, they go down a rat hole, which is an hour-long podcast or a 3-day challenge. I know what's his name, Grant Cardone had one recently, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is what's getting people kind of excited about you and your brand for like, and I can sense that because even when you go to events, I was at the Ryan Pineda event, it's like they don't sell you anything, but they kind of do, but it's just such an environment. It was just like, I just got to buy it.
That's your access card to the next level. And, everybody go back and listen to our piece on, how nothing is new with this stuff. We'll take you back to Zig Ziglar and, young Tony Robbins and the timeshare salesman. It's all a new play on the same play.
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name. Flanagan, I think his name. I got his book on the
Flanagan. Never heard of this guy.
Yeah, shit, I don't have it with me. He was the one that created the perfect webinar, and he talks about like how you create this environment in a webinar. You pretty much are breaking down their preconceived notions, solving for their objections before they even say them. Doing things like proving your authority, maybe having pictures of you hanging with Tony Robbins in the picture, just proving all these things you're doing to kind of psychologically get people to say yes at the end of the webinar. And so he kind of and he was kind of very useful right during the pandemic because that's where people were selling. So he kind of blew up a little bit. But again, it's just really about like creating these environments for people to know you and get to know you better. And so, podcasts like this is important so people know who we are. And at the end of the day, they don't follow companies, they follow people. So I'm excited.
That's a good little takeaway for our little discussion there. I like that. Follow people, not whatever else.
Yeah, follow people, not companies. So that's what it is. Man, I love it.
All right, let's get to it. With story number 1, Netflix is getting the side eye over a Black Cleopatra. At least that's the headline. So what's going on? Netflix has a new trailer coming out produced by Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there up front. And she's got this series where every season she focuses on some woman and their historical contributions, their historical legacy, and just a basic story behind. This time she's going in with Cleopatra, but with a decidedly Black angle. And the timing of this might not be the greatest for Netflix. What are you hearing about this, Theo?
Man, be honest with you, I just heard about it from you. This is the first time hearing about this. Okay. But I will say this, definitely that's controversial about, who's portraying her, right? Is a, Black woman out of England who's the actress is going to kind of portray Cleopatra in this series. And, a lot of Egyptians are not happy about that. And, one take I have on this, like years ago, man, I mean, I'm talking about like 90s when I was in high school, back even in California, I didn't really think of Egyptians as like, a whole separate culture and all this other thing. But it was like all of a sudden it was like literally like overnight. I just saw like a lot of folks I knew, they were like, oh yeah, we're Egyptians now. And it became like this big thing. No, I'm serious. It was literally.
No, I remember wearing the ankhs and stuff.
Yeah, but it was just like
a lot of the hieroglyphic.
Yeah, like in the 90s even. So it was like, then it was like, okay, especially if you grew up in a place like diverse as, California or New York, you just saw like, they identify as this. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess there's this thing, and now we all know, Egypt is in the continent of Africa, but, they want to kind of differentiate themselves like, hey, this is our country. This is what we represent. So, which is fine. So I just say that to say, yes, they're a very strong, cultural group. And, if they feel that they're not being represented well, they're going to speak up. So, I mean, I get that part, now we're seeing that with other communities, stepping up. Hey, like there was a movie called Aloha and it starred Bradley Cooper and I think it was, what's her name? I can't remember her name right now. She played Gwen Stacy in one of the Spider-Mans.
Okay.
You know her name, man. It slips my tongue right now, but she was in La La Land. Emma Stone.
Okay.
She played a character who was originally Asian and the internet blew up, was pissed about that. So, and then also, Scarlett Johansson, playing Ghost in the Shell. So this whole kind of, which, is a Japanese is it anime?
Yeah.
But so it's like, this is not something that's, a lot of, cultural groups want to be represented well. And by, they want to see themselves displayed in Hollywood. There was even controversial on what's the movie? In the Heights. I don't know if you saw that. The Lin-Manuel's version, TV movie version, what he did in his first play. And a lot of dark-skinned Dominicans were upset because they're like, wait a minute, there's not enough of us represented, in this area of, the Heights, in New York. And so yeah, man, it's deep, man. So I see why they cut this way.
Yeah, there's a lot of, on the larger, looking at it from a larger perspective, representation is very important, at least making sure that you're represented correctly, because when you don't, you're getting in the territory of appropriation, you're getting in the territory of erasure, redefining narratives, and what's the word I'm looking for? There's a phrase, I don't know why it's not coming to me right now, but you're revising history, getting into revisionist history and telling the history the way you want to. So this is where a lot of the outrage is coming from. It's interesting that it's coming up right now with Cleopatra, because it's almost like a reverse of what we've seen lately, instead of, well, this person was Black. A lot of the backlash is coming from like, no, Cleopatra was Greek. She was from the Ptolemaic era and blah, blah, blah. And dude, I watched so many people break down the history and the timeline. This is the seventh Cleopatra, by the way. So if you go down this rabbit hole, be prepared to become I don't even know what a master of North African Greek geology and anthropology, genealogy. It gets deep because I listened to this one girl. She was explaining the lineage for like 2.5 hours. I kept skipping through. I was like going through, like, wow, she's really breaking it down. At the very end, she says like this one little sentence. So Cleopatra was 25% Greek / Arab / Persian. And we don't know where the other 75% of her lineage came from. So based on what I know, I'm going to say it was European. So yes, she was white. I was like, what? 35%? So there's a lot of, we'll put it this way. I won't make that statement of, she was quote unquote Black, just flat out. There's a lot that goes into that statement, and we don't have time for it here. But clearly, to me at least, not white is the answer. But the white populace very upset about this right now.
Well, thank you for listening to a 2.5-hour podcast on that, and for us, so we didn't have to. So I hope you didn't have to say could have done something better with that time. But it's definitely good to go through those deep dives and figure that out. But you know what? This is not the only thing Netflix is in trouble for, man. Netflix is getting a little hot water with some other controversial things that happened recently. Have you watched the reality show Love is Blind?
No, I haven't.
Conceit, very simple. And the reason why I kind of got into the show was during the pandemic. And the conceit is, and I had nothing else to watch. And it was a new kind of show. I was like, what's this about? The conceit is, imagine you fall in love with someone sight unseen. And then you finally get revealed, could you fall in love with someone just, based on their personality, who they are? And then if the looks don't match, what your perceived notion, would you still, marry them and be with them?
Right.
And so first season was definitely eye-opening to watch, and it was interesting. And it kind of reminded me of those back in the day when you used to be on the phone all night with your girl, or, trying to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, you sleep? No, I'm not asleep yet. What about you? Yeah. So,
right.
And so that's kind of was the appeal to me. It's like, oh, and this is like for the next generation, which, let's be honest, we talked about influencers, Instagram, all that stuff. It's all about looks now, right? What people look like, are they attracted to you first, and then
right.
slide in the DMs. So that's what's really interesting to see. So the first season, you had like 2 marriages, and they're still married to today out of the 5 couples that connected. So they had second season, third season. So me and my wife have been watching pretty consistently. But it's gone down in quality, we think, because it's more about probably the influencers because obviously you go on these shows,
right?
Reality shows, you become famous now, or Instagram famous. And so, so now we do feel that the quality's down, but they had a controversial here recently where Netflix experimented with these live type of shows, like the Chris Rock special. They're going to do a live reunion, right? So this is a reality show.
Okay.
You ever know anything about reality shows? You come for the reunions because that's when all the stuff, for lack of a better term, the shit hits the fan, man. People are ready to fight. If you ever get immersed into the Real Housewives, ecosystem, that's what you're looking for, the reunion special, because and then because what's doubly important, not just because the show aired, but they saw the show air, and now they're seeing all the reaction to how they were portrayed in the show. At first, when you film it, you probably don't think about this and just being me, having fun. And then now the show's out, and you see how they cut you, and you're the villain. I said, I was a villain.
You've had months to answer that question that floats in your head. I should have said this, or maybe I should have. You've had months to think about it. Reunion comes up, and it's like, you got to get it out. Oh, I get it.
And now they're fighting. And so they were going to show this reunion live, which is awesome. But the technology crapped out. People were sitting there with bated breath, waiting to see this reunion. And it's like, it was shown, and then it dropped out for 75 minutes. And people were like, it blew up on Twitter. And so a lot of folks were upset about that. And so I think, Netflix is getting a little hot water because can they get the technology right? And even the Chris Rock, I don't know if you saw that. It had little issues there too.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it live. Well, did I see it live? I can't recall. I think I did. And, it had a little burp here and there, but it went okay. But I think Netflix is, trying to figure this out. So yeah, Netflix is going through some issues right now.
This is people trying stuff, and I can't, as a creator, I can't knock them for that. People trying stuff. I guess on the business side, it's a little shaky. It's like, you kind of look at it and like, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? You're trying all this stuff and you're not really together with it all. Who is your audience? Right now, a lot of people are criticizing Netflix for, in general, just being a little bit too woke. And if you look at some of the content, I start watching it and I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? It is a bit, I don't want to say one-sided, but it is a little bit like they're trying to cater to that market. So, and when you feel like someone's catering a little too much, it's a little turn off to me. It didn't feel as natural as it should. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, I'll just say this. So Netflix a year ago was at $380 in stock, $380 roughly in stock. Okay. I don't remember what happened a year ago, but then they had what they called a great Netflix correction where they were saying streaming costs money and it's too expensive and we don't know, we're struggling here. And that's when everybody said, oh crap, this streaming strategy basically put everything out there and everybody downloads it. It's not going to work for the long term. And so Netflix stock got hammered. I think we talked about that on the pod like a year ago.
Yeah, we'll do a streaming update.
Yeah. So what happened is it got down to, it dropped pretty bad, but, the hits keep coming. So they had, Stranger Things. They had the one Wednesday, this Love is Blind, Chris Rock. Guess what their stock is at today?
What's that?
345. So they're pretty much back to where they were a year ago. So they're going back up. Now, granted, the high was in the 600s, but the important point there is that, yes, they had a hit. I mean, to their stock and their valuation and stuff because the overall industry is, souring on streaming services. But Netflix pivoted, and so they have, more content, more quality content. Like Beef, for instance, I said I couldn't believe it was on Netflix. It's a good show. I'm watching this other show called The American Diplomat or something to that. The Diplomat. It's starring Kerry Russell. Great show. I'm like, This is on Netflix? So their quality is creeping up. They're doing live content, to your point, and they're doing ad share. And they're seeing that they can break even because now they're getting money from two sources, right? Ad people pay less money, so they're still getting monthly fees. Plus they're getting ad revenue. So they're looking at more money that way. So like I said, Netflix is sucking, but not really from a profitability standpoint.
Well, we'll see what they end up doing. And thankfully, I haven't heard back about the rumor that Squid Game is going to have an American version done for it. So I don't think we need that. But yeah, Netflix is doing things, and this Cleopatra episode is the latest in their, I don't want to say mess ups, because if you're going to do it. That's fine, whatever. But we're just talking about from the business point of view, how they're courting their audience and what kind of brand are they built. Very interesting. And if anybody has anything to say about Cleopatra's race, please jump in the comments. We'd like to laugh, and we want to see your 2.5 hour video. So I clearly think she falls somewhere in the middle. We'll see how this goes. Oh, by the way, it's not a series show. It's a docudrama. So they're doing one of those. That's why people are taking it this seriously with rewriting history, because it's more
like the History Channel where they, show like reenactments of things. Yes,
exactly.
And they got these actors, they never say anything. They may say one line the whole episode, but they're just looking off into the distance, thinking while the narrator is saying, certain things.
One brilliant idea would change the fruit snack industry for decades.
Exactly. Like that.
All right. That's that one. And another quick one. Story number 2. BuzzFeed is shutting down their news division, and stock just tanked because of it. Oh man. Do you care about BuzzFeed, Theo?
I was going to ask you the same thing, Mr. Benja. I mean, BuzzFeed was kind of like first out the gate to try to create an internet empire, right? When it first kind of came out there, I did some, look down. I mean, I kind of knew of them, but I didn't know of them, right? It wasn't one of those sites I went to when they kind of first broke into the scene. I think, we all saw them for the online quizzes and listicles, pop culture articles. Quentin Brunson, that's where she got her start, who's on Abbott Elementary, right? Big star now. she did all these witty videos. I think there was a lot of millennials. They did like little videos on like, how you your boyfriend still loves you, or what a pack when you're on a 2-day vacation, just little, remember those videos back in the day?
You got money. That was the one that got her, the meme that made her famous, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, before that was like, she did just on her own, right? But because of that, you're right. It was the girlfriend that, you can't take anywhere, right? Or didn't have any money. But then she became part of this crew of just actors. They would do all these videos, right? And that's back in the day when, everybody's doing webisodes. I mean, people are still doing webisodes, but it was like, that was the thing to do, right? If you were an actor, you said, I can't get a gig. I got to do my own thing. And so they did webisodes. That's how Issa Rae got put on, of Awkward Black Girl. And so BuzzFeed did the same thing, but they did it in their whole format, which is like that clickbait thing. You go to the site, they got eyeballs because they would ask you questions or put a list. And so you got to keep clicking to look through all the different lists. And so the videos are the same way. So, yeah, I mean, I knew of him. And did you know the CEO, who his brother-in-law is?
No.
Yeah, Jonah Peretti. He's married to Chelsea Peretti, and she's an actress, and she's married to Jordan Peele. So that's his brother-in-law. Yeah, so small world.
Yeah, BuzzFeed showed up. They were doing their thing, making lists, making little things you could share and pass around, 10 ways you can use spaghetti to kill somebody. And it's like, what? Okay, I'll look through this BuzzFeed, and they quickly became pretty good at doing internet stuff, just being the internet links that got passed around. They started a news division, and the news division was actually highly rated by journalists. Journalists were like, oh, these BuzzFeed guys are actually doing good stuff. They're breaking news. They're finding things out. They've got all these inroads. They can shuffle information to people very quickly. This is pretty solid. But apparently that wasn't good enough, and it was starting to tank. A little while ago, they announced that they were going to do AI news or AI stories. And they're like, listen, we're pretty much firing everybody in there. We're just going to run AI stories. The stock actually jumped a little bit right after that, and people were all excited. But then that didn't last too long because entire news division is getting shut down. So when I went and looked at this, BuzzFeed's highest stock price was $10 in March of 2021. As of 2 years later, almost to the day, their stock price is 75 cents. So $10 to 75 cents.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, look, I think they just never knew how to translate this into the new version. Influencers, using Instagram to connect with people. TikTok. It was like they were good for pre-mobile kind of space, and then, maybe some mobile with some of the videos they were doing, and YouTube stuff that kind of took off in 05 and 06. But it was like they never could kind of translate that into kind of like this new model where people were, using it, Instagram and other ways to kind of connect with people. And so, so that's the thing, man. But they had a shot, man. That just shows you. It's just like, you have a great idea of business, man. That's why I love it, man. Just when you think it's good, you think everything's rolling, things change. I mean, shoot, Mark Zuckerberg, he had to change. Remember, Facebook was all about this, using computers, but now they went to mobile, and they had to pivot pretty quickly, right? That's why they bought Instagram, or even, who was it? Microsoft back in the day. Remember, the internet became a big thing when we saw Netscape back in the day, and Microsoft said, oh, we got to get on the internet. So they came up with Internet Explorer.
No, you had it right.
which gave you instant access every time you bought the OS for Microsoft. So you see, big companies do it too, man. I mean, we're going to talk about Google. They're doing the same thing. They got to pivot. And so BuzzFeed just never knew how to pivot, man. And that's probably why they suck.
I thought they would have, and maybe I just haven't looked hard enough because I really don't follow BuzzFeed and their actions too much, being that they're falling off and no one cares about somebody falling off. But I thought they would get like acquired by somebody. They're like, hey, we can roll this out. Like, in fact, I thought somebody like Facebook might acquire them and like, look, we're just going to run, you're watching your stories and all of a sudden it's like BuzzFeed story in your feed or your reels or whatever. that could work. Like, Vox Media bought Now This, who runs those really quick little documentaries and all that. So I don't know, they were doing good and now they're not. So don't know what else to say about that, but stay on your toes if you're running this internet thing.
Yeah, and then they were doing stupid stuff like buying Huffington Post. Remember that site? I used to go there all the time. HuffPost, and it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. These old school internet media, man, it's like if you don't adjust, man. And I think some of these companies do well because they figured out, how to pivot. I mean, I'm thinking about like Vox Media. I think they kind of went down a line of like creating these media superstars like Ezra Klein, right? Or what's her name? The one I listened to. Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. She's on Pivot. Kara Switzer, she came from that.
Okay.
Yes. So, they're not celebrities per se, but they're like business celebrities, right? And so they put them forefront. So people follow them and then they bring clout with, Vox Media. Or, you think about New York Times, they're obviously they just have a brand of quality. But what they done was they create, they bought a games division, right? To kind of keep you involved. They bought Wordle, right? And they keep you involved in their ecosystem. Oh, by the way, while you're playing this game, check out this hard-hitting article on, child abduction, right? It's like, oh crap, but okay.
So as I said a couple episodes ago, they're amazingly present for being old school. I mean, that New York Times cooking Instagram, it's got millions of followers and everybody's in there just in the comments like, dude, I don't know why they're doing it with ricotta cheese. That's disgusting. What you need to do is, and I'm like, this whole cooking, New York Times cooking is just in there killing it. So
man,
that's just one little division. So.
Man, my mind is blown, man. What they did was create a community, man. And I've read this from Russell Brunson, from what's his name, Gary Vee, Facebook groups, right? You have these groups of folks, and they just collaborate and they're doing all this stuff without you even involved. And that's what they did. They created a community of people who love to cook, people who like to see movies. And now they're interacting. And so that keeps them on the site. So they New York Times did that really well. So in addition to, and they probably knew what their users like. So that's why they bought Wordle, right? Because they're in that community, they probably understood what their demands were. So they knew what to buy for that community to keep them active. So like I said, we talked about, using influencers, like Vox Media or creating a community. And BuzzFeed just never did that. And so, I blame the CEO. I mean, that's what your job is. If you can't move at the top, I mean, that's what I have to do. I mean, I have a company. I'm always like, man, we keep moving, man. You can't stay in the same spot, man, because this thing, man, the internet, man, people will tear you apart.
Time
man.
waits for no one.
Man, you gotta move, man. And I don't know, man. Some people, and if you don't want to move, I get that part. And to your point, they should have probably sold. The CEO's like, I'm done. I have any more ideas. Yeah. And you got to go. So,
Yep. Speaking of making new changes and doing new things, we got one from Google, and this is going to be story number 3. Google is calling for a radical change to search. And that means everybody's going to be changing up their search. I don't know, Theo. Google's doing some things. They got Bard coming out, and they have this new article that just came out saying, they're devising a, quote, radical search changes to beat back AI rivals. This is from the New York Times here. So they're trying to protect their core business. And everybody knows the core business is serious, with a bunch of changes, including updates to its search engines and plans for an all new one. What do you think about this?
I mean, yeah, man, we talked about this. Google makes billions of dollars on search. I mean, we all go to Google to search for things, but we talked about this on our episode. Maybe we'll put that a link or something. But I think search sucks. I mean, we talked about that. If I search something like a keyword like vacation, how many damn ads I'm going to get on the side, on the top, interjected in, and most, in local search.
Yeah. And most of the real links that you get are just somebody typing up a blog post to get, affiliate revenue, or they're basically typing up an ad in the blog. It's like, 10 reasons why you should go to, Baruba. And it's like, some guy's like, hi, here's 10 reasons why you should go to Baruba. So you can buy Coca-Cola. So you can order this. So you can, and you're like, wait, what is this? Are you?
By the way, click this link, so that's, I mean, that still has some value. People are still making money off SEO and other things, but and ad revenue, because basically that gets into intent if people are, actively searching for it. Like for instance, my industry kind of blew up, remote patient monitoring. And it was like one of those things that kind of blew up overnight. I started doing Google AdWords for it. I got all these requests and stuff because people are looking for it. And it's basically a way for doctors to get compensated using technology. And I was like, wow, man, this thing is taking off. But then the Google ad spend became more and more expensive. I was like, I can't.
Right.
And so Google Ads was like, a way for folks to kind of get in top of search. I liken it to, and I got this from Russell Brunson. He's like, it's like liken it to, you go into Yellow Pages back in the day, right? You're intentionally looking for something. And then next to your name, if like I'm looking for a hammer, Ace Hardware Store, oh, there's Lowe's, there's, this, there's that. So now you got a list but now, shoppers are kind of price comparing you. So Google, they figured that out pretty quickly to create this ecosystem around ad, but it sucks. And so they realized that when Chat GPT came out, that's a way better way because now it's giving you, some answers to something you really want to know about as opposed to what someone's trying to influence you to know about. And that's killing their business. And really, and what's driving this too recently is there's $3 billion at stake for Google because Samsung, for the first time ever, which is Samsung Google device, is considering replacing Google's search engine with Microsoft's Bing as a default engine. So
oh my God. Finally, I'm vindicated.
Bing will be your default browser. It's not yet official in Samsung, and that's worth $3 billion in contract, $3 billion contract to Google. But more importantly, there's a $20 billion contract from Apple that's on the table as well. So, that's really what's got, yes, they saw that when ChatGPT got, blew up in December, but now they're really feeling the pressure. And so that's why they're going all in on this AI because they have to, man. Their core business is at stake.
Yeah. And it looks like, from just standing back and kind of looking at it, this is the first major change we've seen in search since Google. Well, no, not even Google was released, since search was invented back in, Google came out in 98, right? Search was invented in, what do you want to say, 94? I remember getting into college, and as we said, with like NTSA, Mosaic and all that, there was just the basic search, and it gave you a list of links.
I remember Netscape, man. We were in your room looking at Netscape, and when it was public, we were just like, oh, wow, blowing our mind. So that had to be, 95? Yeah, 96, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking like 30 years, and you're talking about technology, and it fundamentally hasn't changed. So what does it change into? I got to shout out Gary Vee once again. And I got this link. I'll send it out if I need to. But he basically says search is going to become, however you talk, because you're not trying to search for something. You just have a question on your mind, like, hey, how can I do this? What's the answer? Or how can I get to this? Alexa, Siri, Cortana, those were all steps in the direction of getting to something like a Chat GPT. And I don't know if people have, contemplated and soaked in the fact that this new powerful AI is called Chat GPT. It's literally meant to be a kind of discussion with a computer or an information base or quote unquote AI, whatever you want to classify that as. But think about Star Trek's computer, the holodeck. They went in, computer, give me this, give me that. Let me have this. How does this work? Could you explain to me? Could you show me? That's a way more natural and way more advanced thing. And we're finally getting around to seeing it. And Google's got to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, I give it to OpenAI, Sam Altman, those guys. They just fundamentally understood how people want to interface with computers. I mean, it was almost like magical for the first time ever. Whatever you were thinking about, it didn't hee and haw, didn't point you to something. You had, it's always like a thing to get to the thing, right?
Yeah.
Now this is like, oh, I could type anything and it will give me a response back. And it was like instantaneous and, somewhat correct. It didn't have to be 100% correct, but it was, correct appearing. And that's the other challenge. Now we're feeling like these things are correct. We already talked about there's issues with hallucination and things like that with AI tools. But now that we feel it gives you more confidence. It's almost like, because let's say I ask you a question about a topic and you he and on or whatever, I'm not going to believe anything you say after that. But if I give you a question about, like the video game industry, and you just like, oh yeah, and this and this and this and this, there's something about speed that gives you more confidence, right? And I think that's the thing that they're giving us, and the fact they give us and the direct answer. So speed and directness, I think, convey confidence, and that's why that tool took off. So I'm looking at that. Man, I gotta write that down. Speed and directness. It gives you more confidence, because I think that is something that really why ChatGPT took off for me. And that's even in the real world. If someone comes up to you, that's why confidence men always win. There's fast, they speak fast, and they're direct. Look, this is what we're gonna do. You like soap, right? Yes, I know you do. So this is what you're gonna get for soap. Do you like to be clean? I know you don't. You don't like to be dirty, right? This is what we're gonna buy. Soap is only $2.99. Here you go. Boom. You're like, oh snap.
Yeah, sounds like a fast talking car sale. All right, I'm done with that one because we got 2 more AI stories basically. You got any more on that?
No, we can keep it moving.
Yeah, just keep a watch out for Google and see what happens. Because if you don't keep a watch out, you're going to get hit by something like story number 4. You're going to have an AI Drake and AI Weekend make the top of the charts. What? This kind of, I don't want to say blew people's minds, but everybody stopped and turned around and said, this is where we are right now. So basically what happened is this guy, he makes an AI song with the lyrics, with the voice, with the music, that all sounds like what Drake and The Weeknd would have made. Calls it a heart on my sleeve, and sets off industry alarm bells because it shot to the top of the charts. YouTube, TikTok. Yes, TikTok has actual music charts now. If you don't know that, you're slipping. Spotify, in a couple other places, YouTube. Got all these views very quickly. Drake didn't see any money off of it. The Weeknd didn't see any money off of it. Universal Music Group, and I forgot what the other group in there was looking for it. But none of them got any money. So the lawyers came in, started banging on the door, and it's no more fun and games anymore because, people were doing little projects here and there. But this one actually shot to the charts. So they banged on the door and said, hey, y'all, we haven't worked out all the legal stuff, but I got a van full of lawyers downstairs. Just turn it off right now. Just cut it. And all the searches they all did. They're like, you know what? We're not about to fight with the music industry and copyright. We're pulling out of this game for now. Crazy stuff, huh?
Man, this is very precedent we're setting here. I mean, there's so many different ways we can go down this story. I mean, definitely we talked about this, the AI cannibalization of like real artist material, right? And repurposing it. And so taking money out of the mouths of artists. So now you go into the big artists, you see what happens. So I still think AI is still going to be cannibalizing, but probably smarter artists that don't have, or smaller artists that don't have the reach. I mean, of Ariana Grande or other folks. So that's, I think you saw the power there of what happens when you have a big following, that they can't F with you. The AI, yes, the technology is there to do this, but now, technology, just like life, will always find a way. So I'm sure we'll probably see some bootleg Drake songs out there with AI.
Yeah.
But, I think that's the interesting story too. And then go ahead.
Well, I was about to say, let me throw this twist in there. You said technology, like life, always finds a way. How about technology is life?
Okay.
So if technology is life and it's starting to outpace us, we start to get into that singularity and evolution talk, man. It starts getting crazy. I mean, think about it. If we want our music and we want music, it's the language of emotion, and it's a uniquely human thing. It's like, yeah, that song, that's really good. That's AI. Oh, it's still really good though. I'm just gonna bop it anyway. It's just a weird case, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, the avatars, the virtual avatars are going to be a big thing. I mean, I can see my kids as they grow up. Yes, they're watching these influencers, but what's the best influencer? Someone that can be on video 24/7, like a Max Headroom. I can absolutely see an avatar just blow the F up on YouTube. And that's all people watch. Bigger than Mr. Beast, because he can do things the avatar could do, be on 24/7 and never stop. And so that's the world we're getting to, where it comes to actually creating life, that a virtual life form, even before, this singularity, in my opinion. I think that's where it can go to. Because why couldn't you? You can do that right now with image. I mean, I think I was going to try to play with this too. There's some software now. You can just create a digital image of yourself and say different things. And so why couldn't you create an avatar that people like and appeal, and then have it do crazy things in the virtual world? And most people think video is life anyway. So I think that would happen before the singularity. And that's going to be a game changer when that happens. Our first real life virtual celebrity.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
Have you ever slipped up and done something very human with a software or AI? Like, for example, I just was doing my thing and asked Siri a question. After Siri was done, I hit the button again and said, "Thank you." Have you ever told Siri thank you?
Well, yeah, Amazon, it was Alexa, and back in the day, when I used to use it a lot more. Yeah. And that's another thing. Amazon had a prime position too, man. They could have took over. So I just think about the business opportunities that everybody just effed up, man. I mean, this ChatGPT came out of nowhere, and you had Siri, you had Amazon, you had Facebook, Google. Everybody was, they had the knowledge and technology. They just didn't do it. And now you see what happens. Now they're all like, oh, we got to run. We got to make this happen. So
I'm sad.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is what's happening when you don't deploy things that you have. You try to slow roll technology. Technology is life. Technology makes a way. And so OpenAI just took advantage. I mean, I talked about on my, small plug on my perform video. I talked about that. It's like, man, transformer, pre-trained ChatGPT, generative pre-trained transformer. Transformer came from Google. How do you communicate in these large language models? It came from Google, and Google didn't do crap with it. And so that's where we are.
Google's notorious for that, by the way. I'm not going to get into it now, but they be dropping the ball all the time, man. I mean, just all the time.
Yeah.
If you didn't know. Yeah. So I don't have much more to say on that, except keep an eye out on artistry, creativity, and these music media companies coming in and really dictating how copyright and intellectual property laws can be applied to your influencers, hey, I didn't think about that, but they're in a key position to really formulate like, hey, here's how influencers can license out their likeness. The music, movie, TV industries could really be the people to corral all that energy and all that, all this growth that's happening in the influencer space back under their umbrella. So I got to look into that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of like you had the studio system back in the day where
right.
They would have, they make their artists, right? And they're like, oh, here's Cart Gable and stuff like that. So, that'd be scary. Then the industry is like, basically just creating stars for you, which not like what's happening now somewhat. Some people, they do push. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to make it, man. You ever see that? They all of a sudden somebody's like hot for a minute. I mean, we talked about Jonathan Majors. It's just like, there may be may not be as hot anymore due to some other issues. Or Anna de Armas. Is that how you say Armas? They're really pushing her, but I don't see it. I know she did that Maryland thing. Very, very beautiful woman, but I don't know, just there's something there. It's missing for me for like a movie star type person. But yeah, we'll see.
Yep. And speaking of stars, we got one more, and this is going to make story number 5. This is our Elon Watch, and yes, Elon Musk and SpaceX are in the news again because a SpaceX spaceship blew up. So, and guess what? The SpaceX people were actually, happy about it. They were all excited about the spaceship blowing up, and Elon was, shouting the praises, and people were like, why is this so exciting? Why are you happy that a spaceship blew up? It's actually not a big problem for these things to go wrong and do what it did, but they were surprised that they learned as much as they did, that they advanced as much as they did, and now they actually have kind of a roadmap to have this huge starship make its way to Mars. It's like they're really like, no, we're a lot closer than we were before this thing blew up. So what do you know? Elon's still in the mix, patting himself on the back, right?
Yeah, Elon's still Elon, and I mean, we kind of lost a thread with Elon with the Twitter debacle and him making fun of folks and being on boats and all this other crap. Looking fat on boats. But, this dude, I mean, his claim to fame was he was going to Mars. That was his brand. And then he started talking about AI. And everything, the AI stuff is starting to bear out. So much that he's behind the scenes creating his own AI company because he was the original founder of OpenAI, but they broke apart and all this other stuff. So he's trying to create his own kind of non-woke version of AI, right, if you will. But yeah, Elon's still Elon, man. He's still going. Matter of fact, there's an article that said, okay, in the span of 24 hours, he stripped celebrities, journalists, and other high-profile users of their free legacy verification on Twitter. So basically that blue check mark. He promised that the electric car maker Tesla would start chasing sales volume at the expense of profitability. And he launched, like you said, that giant space rocket all in 24 hours. So he's running like 3 companies, high levels, dealing with all this stuff. I mean, he's not personally dealing with it. I mean, what I'm learning more is like, you got delegate, you have, lieutenants who kind of run everything. And you just come in, just swoop in every now and then. It's like, okay, what's going on? Okay, you got it. And so, but that's amazing to kind of be doing something at such a high level. So we'll see. I mean, one thing I did want to put in, here's a quote. I thought that was kind of interesting. When he originally created SpaceX and Tesla, he felt they had 10% chance of success. But he said, but if the odds, if you can probably get them in your favor, you should make as many decisions as possible within the bounds of what is executable. This is like being the house in Vegas. Probability is the most powerful force in the universe, which is why the house always wins. Be the house. So, he's looking at ways to kind of create as many, favorable outcomes for him. Because you'll see sometimes I think he'll take stuff from Tesla and put it to SpaceX, right? Or the neural net, right? He created, right? To kind of figure out how to use that for some of the AI stuff. So I think, he's trying to stack the probabilities in his favor, and so far it's kind of working. So definitely our most interesting billionaire. He's not the richest man in the world anymore, thanks to his foolhardily decision to buy Twitter. But, he'll be okay.
Yeah, well, the jury's still out on exactly what's going to happen with Twitter. He's definitely got bigger aspirations than just managing Twitter and arguing with people over Donald Trump. Much more.
Does he? Does he though?
Well, it's his single biggest media arm right now, and he doesn't really spend on advertising. So there you go.
Well, to your point, that's a good point. I mean, he pivoted. Let's be honest. He was like a nerd. He worked with the PayPal mafia. Really, nerdy guy. Create this whole new industry in EVs and going to space, talk about Mars and AI. But he said, you know what? People don't give a damn about this stuff. Let me figure out what's going on Twitter. And he figured out attention was a new oil. And so he figured out how to get attention. And so to him, that was a smart play. And he figured, I mean, if he went from just this nerdy dude to like going all in on attention and social media, then that shows you that may be the best route to go for you as a brand, because it just makes sense now. That's the new world. And he figured that out. So kudos to him. He knows how to pivot and he knows about business. And, once again, we're just going to call this the Gary V Was Right podcast, man. He talked to Gary about this one. Attention, is the new oil, man. And you got to draw attention. And Elon knows how to do it for good or bad. And, to your point, maybe a little bit, kind of like Grant Cardone, there may be a little psychosis involved with this because, maybe you get addicted to it almost. And you feel like you got to do more to one up yourself. And I think that's what's happening to him and Grant. They'll start saying stuff, oh, Lord.
Yeah, and we saw what happened with Donald Trump. He took it all the way to the White House. So
Sure did.
Amazing things, man. Amazing times. All right, man. Well, that's it for me. You got any more on this?
No, man. This is a great show, man. What's the plans for this week?
Oh man, I'm still figuring out the Matrix. there are things going on. And I talked to the mayor of Benja last week and got some moves we're going to make down in the depths of the inner core. So nothing for the regular people, just people rocking with the inner core. But no, I've still got that book going on. Let me tell you what happened with that, because I don't want to seem like I just said I was going to write a book and never really did. It got longer, and where is it? Here's a draft. I didn't want to make just like an ebook, so it started turning into this illustrated kind of, thing about, what's going on with, I'm gonna drop it soon, but it's laying the new foundation for what I'm going to go forward with. So after this one drops, I should be able to drop more faster after that. And I'm just happy with this creative vibe I'm on. So
man, get it done, brother.
Coming.
Yeah, I'm in the process of looking at my book as well. Let's get that out. It sounds like, if you're going to, I think, I've been reading Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, and it's just like, being that expert in whatever field it is, you need that book. And then once that book is out there, then you kind of leverage that to do these courses, all this other stuff. So yes, I'm a big believer in that. So I'm doing the same thing. It's not going to come out because yours. I'll be working on it over the next, couple of months. But my goal is to kind of have something. So kudos to you, Mr. Benja. I mean, just get it, like you said, take your time, man, get it done. But once it's done, brother, you're done.
Well, Cardone said that too. He said he did this intentionally. And that's what I'm coming to find out. A lot of his moves are intentional. He finds what works and then rides that one to the next intention. Where he created the Millionaire booklet, Sell or Be Sold. There's one other one that I can't remember, but then he jumped on and the 10X rule. Mm-hmm. The 10X rule became the one that hit. Once that one hit, he wrote it hard, created the 10X conference and the whole thing behind that. So yeah, I get what you mean, man.
Just got to get it out there, man. I mean, because you just don't know what. And the easier book, I'm actually going to take a course on this. It's like they said, kind of be as close to, who you are as now as possible, right? So it's easier to write and get through it. Because I had this real vision. So I'm going to write about the evolution of ChatGPT. I was like, oh man, I don't know. That's going to have to be a lot. Out of sight. So I'm just going to focus how you build a company, in the health care space or something like that. And so that way in my niche can talk about it and knock it out. Cause you're right. It's really the next book or the third book, right? That may be the one that hits. At least you have something, you can leverage that to create, that's what Ryan Pineda did. I mean, he had he wrote a book first called Flip Your Future. And he used that to, while he was doing that, create his course. And that helped him get to the next level where he's like, he wrote another book and now he's got these conferences. So the reason why I kind of follow him, he's kind of doing everything. I saw where he went from zero, relatively speaking, he had a little stuff going on, but nothing to the level now in 2 years, basically follow all the playbooks everyone else did. And so when I'm listening on his calls and seeing what they do, I'm like, damn, he just executing at a high speed. That's it. That's the only difference. He's not doing anything new. He's not like, I'm going to revolutionize. No, he's not like that. And sometimes my engineering brain thinks like that. Sometimes I'm like, you know what?
Yeah. Because as you execute and you make those decisions, I think the real world will tell you the answer faster than you being at the whiteboard. So,
yeah. Because it's fun to be at the whiteboard. Oh, we could do this, we could do that. But then when you actually put it out there and it does, you're like, dang, all that time I spent on this crap and it do shit. So,
Is this recipe going to work? I don't know. Taste this. This tastes like crap. Okay. Well, we saved a day of that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I like Hormozi's strategy too. It's like how you test your ideas faster. And he says use Twitter, right? Kind of things to, and you told me that too. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a pathway here. So anyway, make a long story short, man, kudos on your book. On my side, just grind on the business. Got some new things popping off here, coming here with some AI stuff we're playing with. So we're going to launch that here next month. So, and then, go on vacation for a couple of days. I need it, but grinding, man. Grinding, brother.
Well, very cool, man. Yeah. Always happy to do this podcast with you and hearing what you're up to. And, we got some secrets we got to discuss in a little bit. So
secrets. If you know behind the scenes, guys, it's coming soon. It's Show After Business. Show versus Business After Dark. Wait. Show versus Business Uncut.
Warning, what you're about to see Raw enough cut.
I need a tip drill.
Yes. Or no.
Hey guys, well, thank you for listening to the podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And go check us out on our website at Show versus Business. Mr. Benja, have a great one.
Peace.